people, I think I found the most hilarious thing. Just sitting here doing absolutely nothing and staring at the screen for a bit. And you scroll through the weapons here that Ulfar actually can equip. We have this one here, which we're going to replace that one. But here comes the most hilarious thing. Look at the bolter. Decent sized bolter. Tiny bolter. That made me happy. I don't know why, but that made me happy. No. There. And we need a bow pistol. That's... yeah, it's adapted to starters. We can't actually use it on any other character. How are we with Jay? That's actually a fair point. You have 80 ballistic. No, we're not doing that. My big question was this. If a person leaves the retinue, does that mean that all the stuff they have with them leaves as well? Because I feel Agatha isn't using this. So I want to put that on Jay. With dual bolters. Yeah. What do we want to put on Jay here instead then? Inflict more burning and toxic. Momentum, toughness. Death Cult. Trigger expose weakness. Dance macabre. Attack of opportunity. I think we're just throwing on this one on her. Do we have another backpack for her? Or back piece as well? Yep. Okay. We are going to Dragonus. That is the plan for today. We're going to Dragonus.
During the warp journey, the augurs discovered a strange object that had been following the rogue trader's void ship for several hours. Judging by the distort, a scheduled service in the ship's chapel was interrupted in the most profane manner. The images of saints and martyrs depicted on the altarpiece started to move and stepped down from the canvas. The congregation was filled with terror and dozens perished in the stampede. The illusion disappeared on its own, but...
Okay. So, plan today is deal with Dragonus stuff and see where we're at after that.
Lord Captain, the Ordo Xenos punitive unit, led by Acolyte Linet Xu, has arrived on Janus. The Inquisition forces have already taken control of the governor's palace and intend to deal with the anomalies on Janus. Governor Viat and her retinue have left the residence and fled to some secret shelter. Many of her servants and lesser followers have been executed. There's no doubt that Lady Xu knew what exactly she was looking for.
Henrix, why wasn't I notified by of their arrival in advance?
I am surprised that they have informed us of their arrival at all. It demonstrates a semblance of trust.
Okay, let the Inquisition do their job. Grants logic, coercion, persuasion. Shall strict them. I have ordered the expulsion of impudent fools from my world. What think you, my officers and advisors?
Cooperating with the Inquisition would do us more good than trying to hide the current misfortunes of the colony. I can send them a message to keep us informed about the interrogation, as a favor. If only we could throw them a bone, and let them find the evidence they want, one that we can get by without. The rest could be concealed away from their inquisitive eyes. Like a sand lizard shedding its tail, sometimes one must cede the battle to win the war. If someone were to walk around my domain so brazenly, they would certainly regret it. Lay open the trap, lace it with poison, put down the bait, and wait for the enemy to end their own worthless life.
Let the Inquisition do their job. Have Vicissa surrender some of our people. I want the Inquisition gone from the planet already. I don't care about that one, honestly. Yeah, fuck it. Let them do their job.
To serve Janus and the von Valancius dynasty. After Lady Xu had set up her headquarters at the governor's palace, she began to investigate the situation on Janus. All those feeling guilt for their crimes before the Emperor could only stay silent and pray. During her investigation, Lady Xu has been able to establish that the genetic changes in the organisms of the sickly creatures have been caused by the effects of mysterious substances secreted into the water by the xeno-obelisks. These substances did not contaminate the water until recently, as shown by the analysis of the Magus Biologis.
Okay.
The same xeno-obelisks appear to be linked by a chain of energy communications, also serving as sources of unknown radiation that seem to have caused the outbreak of contaminated growth in the currently uncontrolled sector of the planet. This also seems to be causing the appearance of the mysterious phantoms. Lady Xu suggested that there is some sort of ancient mechanical construction located on Janus that had awakened from its slumber. And the anomalies occurring on Janus have been caused by the blasphemous machine trying to start itself.
Okay, that means we have the last part here. What was it we were going for? See no adversary, dodge. Whenever healed. Lightbringer. Can't get that, so it's either this or this. Profit factor. That sword is just decent, I guess. I guess we're going for the sword, honestly. Dodge against Xenos. Can't be bothered with that, honestly. Why did I visit? Oh, we're in Dragonus. Okay, we're in Dragonus. Okay. I was like, why did we visit the planet? We're on Dragonus. That's where we actually were supposed to go. Okay, that's a fair point. This one, Explorators. We need 50k. How much are we actually up to right now? Reputation. 37k. No, 30. Yeah, 37k. So we need to do a bit of grinding. Fellowship is at the core of an officer character's resolve. I've done a sniper. The sniper was absolutely horrendous because I could have done it so much better. The psyche now that we actually are building and kind of built is performing fairly good, honestly. Anything that stays outside, Governor Grinston will take care of everything. The fact that he's saying that pisses me off. You know, such things happen right in the road.
You are confronted by the sight of dead bodies at the entrance to the palace. The corpses have been hauled into a pile. Some are dressed in the uniforms of palace wardens, while others are arrayed in the clothing typical of the Darganus nobility. Upon seeing you, the young enforcer stands at attention and swallows noisily. His voice trembles as he says,
"Your ladyship, we are honored by your presence."
Pointed bodies. What is this mess?
"You see, your ladyship, those people wanted to attack."
The warden clears his throat.
Second Lieutenant of the Palace Guard Elam White reporting. "Shortly before you arrived, we averted an assassination attempt on the rogue traitor. The palace soldiers detected intruders and engaged them in combat."
Examine the silence.
Observation. There are rare high-functioning servitor specimens present among the expired units. Such specimens are traditionally bestowed upon the noble houses that are most loyal to the sacred fellowship of the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay.
The augmatics of the deceased do differ from the implants ordinary people wear. Their intricate construction makes it clear that the deceased were not ordinary humans. Abelard frowns.
As far as I know, House Gaprick has received such servitors from the Crimson Priesthood as gifts in the past, although this is my first time seeing one myself.
Where is the Court Chancellor Clementine Messerian?
I think she is with the rest of House Verserian, detained in the throne room, that is. Governor Drivestem has gathered all of Darganus's nobility there to pronounce a guilty verdict against House Verserian.
Why is the governor not here to greet the rogue
I
traitor?
do not know, your ladyship. Perhaps he is.
The guard throws a fearful gaze at Abelard.
You can probably find him in the throne room, where the governor intends to put House Verserian on trial.
The bodies bear multiple wounds. It is evident that they died recently.
What? There was a crumbled up letter soaked in blood. Okay.
There will be no peace in my wake.
Why do we have the Inquisitor with us? Oh, because Cabela actually had was on trial. Fair enough.
I spoke to Mistress Tolleman recently. Don't you think you're taking advantage of the Lord Captain's hospitality, Van Calox?
I assume you're referring to the small request I submitted to Vigdis. If so, then no. I'm not taking advantage. The matter is closed.
Yeah, even I'm reacting at the fucking despicable things going on in my palace right now. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. I have an appointment with Chancellor. My lord, but you cannot go further. Drivestem's orders.
Your ladyship. 'Tis an honor.
Governor Urban Drivestem seems to materialize out of thin air, so suddenly does he emerge from the crowd.
I regret that such unfortunate circumstances have occasioned the rogue trader's visit to the capital.
Clementia tries to take a step toward you, but the warden nearby stops her. Her face is veiled with fear and weariness.
Your ladyship? You are here. Please, you must hear us out.
The rogue trader is undoubtedly here to listen to the testimony of each and every one of us, and to punish the traitors.
The governor's words, directed at Clementia, are harsh. They are echoed by the scornful sneers and whispers of the assembled nobles.
We have known each other for many decades now and we have had our fair share of disagreements, but, do you really think my flesh and blood would trample upon the very definition of honor and loyalty?
Abelard's voice is quivering with rage. The governor sweeps his gaze over Abelard, then replies, a faint shadow of a doubt in his voice.
We have evidence implicating them, Abelard. I am sure that her ladyship will arrive at a fair ruling.
What are the charges against House Verizon?
Disruption of logistical lines, bribery of Adeptus Administratum officials, document forgery, and organization of heretical insurrections. On top of the evidently devastating economic impact this has had on your protectorate, these criminal acts have impeded the delivery of the imperial tithe, which, in turn, has drawn the Administratum's attention. An esteemed member of the Adeptus Arbits is expected to arrive on Dargonus shortly, and before they do, we are obligated to identify and punish those responsible.
Clementine, I wish to hear your account.
Your ladyship, House Verserian denies all charges laid against it.
Clementia glances at the governor with defiance.
These last few months have indeed been trying for Dargonus, but we have done our best to remedy the situation. My family's every effort was focused on stabilizing the capital's logistics and economy, so much so that we failed to notice the web of intrigue unfolding behind our backs.
What happened on Dragonus in my absence?
When we caught wind of the rumors of your disappearance, we patiently awaited news of your return, but then Dargonus was struck by a series of terrible events. The first was the sabotage of logistics that hampered shipments. Then mass unrest spread across the entire planet, and the minor noble houses began squabbling among themselves, trying to pin the blame on their rivals. We took great pains to calm them down and managed to quash the revolt, though not without some outside help, unfortunately. These events have also been overshadowed by I am ashamed to even say it aloud in front of you, your ladyship, the rumors circulating among the higher houses.
The governor stammers, then takes a deep breath.
Some were calling for Theodora's true heir to be installed as head of your house, Kunrad Voigt Ver. Not all of your subjects have forgotten his past efforts for the benefit of the trade protectorate.
Drivestem stops talking, watching you with a tense expression.
When the investigation was launched, the evidence led us to the Worsrians.
I am so tempted on just shooting you on the spot, Drystem, if I actually have your... Drystem, you aren't accusing one of Dragonus' leading nobility house of treason without airtight evidence, are you? Why are there dead bodies at the entrance of my palace?
Your ladyship, I humbly beg your pardon.
Drivestem bores once again, trying to placate you.
You see, right before your arrival, the palace guard discovered a plot to assassinate you. Fortunately, the malefactors were disposed of before they could cause you any harm.
Drystem, you aren't accusing Drystem's leading houses of treason with an airtight evidence, are you?
Of course I have evidence, your ladyship. The investigation has established that members of the Verserian family, which is responsible for both Dargonus's fleet and its logistics, used their contacts and influence to forge a host of documents in order to undermine the planet's supply routes and economy, thus fomenting unrest among the inhabitants. Allow me to introduce my son, Cornelius.
The governor points to the lanky young man standing beside him. He bows curtly but avoids meeting your eye.
Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum Palace, and it is thanks to him that we managed to identify and trace the entire chain of forged documents. The investigation led us to the perpetrators, who admitted to acting on the orders of members of House Verserian. It was they who were intent on spreading the idea of restoring the title of rogue trader to the true heir.
Take a closer look at the governor's son.
Noticing the close attention of the rogue trader, the young man averts his gaze. His long face is sweating and he presses his dry lips together tightly into a thin line. He seems to be afraid of something.
Speak to the head of the house presence. Do you support the governor's accusations?
The aristocrats in attendance exchange glances, the noble lords averting their gazes and the noble ladies hiding behind the fans. No one is willing to be the first to answer.
Over his many years of service, Governor Drivestem earned Theodora's trust, and he holds his high office for a reason.
Sauerback's tone is stern and imperious.
On behalf of House Sauerback, I support his accusations.
My apologies, your ladyship, but I wish to speak to.
Regina looks into your eyes with a tender half-smile, then turns her gaze on her husband.
Of course, I agree with my husband. Governor Drivestem would not press charges against anyone if he were not absolutely certain of the authenticity of the evidence he had unearthed. I think anyone here would agree that anyone who ever doubts the authority of the true rogue trader should be prosecuted. I am sure, your ladyship, that you will eradicate the scourge of heresy from your domain. Your ladyship, Governor Drivestem has always faithfully served the rogue traders of House von Valancius and concerned himself with the future of your trade dynasty, and so, House Gabrick thinks his charges against House Verserian to be sound.
The Augmatics hide Toriana's emotion, but her voice sounds slightly timorous.
I humbly ask you to allow me to speak in defense of my family's honor. The evidence provided by the governor is utterly false. I cannot refute it, but I can say with confidence that no one from my family has ever tried to forge documents in the Adeptus Administratum, let alone undermine the economy of your capital.
Sabotaging Ryan. The case appears to be flimsy. I wish to learn more before I make my final decision. I'm not... Okay, yeah.
As you wish, your ladyship.
The governor inclines his head in a stiff bow.
Speak to me when you are ready to announce your verdict. Thank you for your willingness to help, Lord Captain. I am certain that all the charges are false, and I would be grateful for your help in exposing them as such. I think you should speak to everyone present, the noble lords and ladies.
Okay, so we have one here, we have here.
They will see. Oh yes, they
Let's start with Gabrick.
will see.
The lords and ladies sumptuously dressed in the colors of House Gabrick are standing in a half-circle around Toriana and her son Vicent. The bodies and faces of almost every member of this dynasty are covered in large, ornate augmatics. Toriana Gabrick curtsies to you. Her mechanical voice sounds distant and indifferent.
Greetings, your ladyship. May the Omnissiah grant you understanding.
With a click, her visor oculars swivel to the seneschal.
Abelard. It must be difficult for you to be here under these circumstances, with your house standing accused of such a grave crime.
My family, Lady Toriana, is yet to be found guilty of anything. That verdict is for the rogue trader to reach.
I examined the body of the salient that were killed today. All of them were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors only employed by the families close to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Isn't that so?
It is impossible to read Toriana's emotions in her heavily augmented face, but her sudden turn toward her family betrays her confusion and surprise. Perplexed whispers bounce from one family member to another. Impossible, we came here by ourselves, without any servitors. We know nothing about it.
Your ladyship, thank you for informing us of this. You are absolutely right, my house has indeed been endowed with high-functioning servitors, a blessing for those who revere the Omnissiah. But today, none of our house members were accompanied by them.
Do you think the accusations against Versarian's family are true?
I would not take such a responsibility upon myself and rule on their guilt, your ladyship. I do think Governor Drivestem's accusations are worthy of consideration, however.
In your opinion, which noble might have reason to be party to such conspiracy?
She thinks for several moments before replying.
Pardon my bluntness, your ladyship, but I will answer truthfully, it could be anyone. Greed, fear, and ideals can drive even the most loyal subjects to do the unthinkable.
I found this note on one of the bodies. What are your thoughts?
Toriana's mechanical fingers grip the paper.
Officially, high-functioning servitors are employed by my house and my house alone. If such units were to attack the rogue trader, suspicion would instantly fall upon the Gaprooks. I assume that this is what the Worserians intended to happen, but they did not expect that the servitors would have this letter on them.
Vincent, I wish to speak to you.
Ready to serve, your ladyship. How may I help you?
What do you make of the charge against the Varasian family? Could they truly be guilty?
I do not think I can doubt the validity of the accusations, but...
Vicent's voice trails off and he seems to retreat into himself for a moment. Before continuing, he takes a deep breath.
I am also not sure that House Verserian had a reason to betray you, your ladyship. I do not know of any instance where their loyalty to you and the Emperor was anything less than unwavering.
I know you care for Asteria. Are you prepared to watch her die?
Vicent's jaw augmatic screeches slightly. The young man scrutinizes his mother and other family members for a few moments.
There is something you ought to know, your ladyship. Today, I noticed one of my family members to be in an odd, uncharacteristic mood. Holland Gaprick is my paternal second cousin once removed, may the Emperor save his soul. Usually reserved and self-possessed, today he was frantic and anxious, fidgeting with a small piece of paper and seemingly looking for someone to no avail. When I last saw him, he was headed to the entrance hall, where the altars are. Perhaps you should talk to him.
That will do.
Vicent inclines his head in a respectful bow.
I should take my leave. In the entrance hall.
Oh, my nerves are frayed.
There we have Holland Gaprock.
A finely dressed man of middle years is kneeling in front of the altar, his palms folded in prayer close to his face. The implant-free parts of his skin are a sickly blue color. The nobleman does not react to your presence, he does not lift his head, he does not blink, he does not even breathe. Only when you draw closer do you realize that he is dead. Abelard looks at the man, his eyes grim.
The colors of House Gaprock. I do not believe he decided to take his own life in such an extravagant way. As far as I know, there is a warden post here, but I do not see any wardens.
The seneschal looks around.
There is no one to ask about what happened here or with whom this man spoke before he died. I would like to ask Urbend where the palace guard suddenly disappeared to.
Heinrichs leans toward the dead man.
A familiar sight. There are poisons that rapidly damage the nervous system, causing paralytic spasms throughout the body once injected. The victims usually suffocate slowly and painfully, unable to call for help.
Examine the body.
You closely examine the body. You cannot identify any wounds or any other obvious causes of death.
That sucks.
Pasquale's visor emits a series of clicks. He points to the dead man's neck without hesitation.
I am registering an injection site.
There are no visible wounds on the body, but near the edge of the gold-trimmed collar, you notice a tiny puncture in his blue skin, likely a wound caused by a thin needle.
Search pockets.
You discover a secret pocket in the lining of the dead man's luxurious jacket. You find a folded piece of paper inside, hiding behind a handkerchief embroidered with the initials HG.
Make sure the rogue trader is attacked by someone loyal. It should appear as if all stage and let the Varasian family escape. This is the last assignment. Soon your debt will be paid. Look around.
You are almost certain that wardens are usually stationed nearby. But their post is empty. Where have they gone? This would be an excellent question to put to Governor Driveston.
Okay.
One step at a time.
Governor Driveston is surrounded by his retinue, who are all dressed in expensive gowns and finery. The matching color scheme of their outfits and the striking physical resemblance among them suggest that they all come from one family.
Your ladyship. Thank you for giving this case your undivided attention.
The governor bows and the rest hasten to follow suit.
I wish to make... Okay. I wish to hear your reason again. What makes you think the Varasians are behind the plot against me?
As soon as the logistical and economic problems gave rise to the initial rumors, we tried to find the person responsible for spreading the calls for Voigtver's return. The investigation showed that some of the documents inside the Adeptus Administratum were forgeries. We can thank my son, Cornelius, for such astute observations. Your ladyship.
A slender young man bows to you awkwardly and nervously licks his dry lips.
I assure you that my humble person is undeserving of your attention. Cornelius holds a prestigious position at the Administratum Palace, and it was he who discovered the errors leading to the disrupted logistics. It is also thanks to him that we found the perpetrators of the forgeries, who admitted to acting on the orders of House Verserian.
What do you think about this letter? I found this in one of the assailants.
Governor Driveston peers closely at the blood-stained paper.
It looks like another piece of evidence incriminating House Verserian. Perhaps they truly did intend to kill you, or at least cause a stir to help them escape custody during the confusion that followed.
All the assailants were high-functioning servitors. Such servitors are only employed by families close to Adeptus Mechanicus.
High-functioning servitors?
Driveston ponders this, rubbing his chin with his thumb.
Such servitors are indeed rare, and the Gaprix do have them in their service, but this could have been done intentionally with an eye to confusing you. Anyone with the desire and sufficient funds can hire them.
Tali drives them. Tell me more about your son drives them.
Thank you for your interest, your ladyship, but I am not worthy of it.
The governor's son bows and stands still as he nervously stares down at the floor.
Son, show due respect. Forgive him, your ladyship. This is the first time he has had the honor of attracting the attention of the rogue trader.
Heinrichs narrows his eyes and, glancing at you, shakes his head.
Tell me about your job, Cornelius. What do you do?
I manage the documents and records related to the economy of Dargonus. You probably know how scrupulous the workers of the Adeptus Administratum are. I am afraid that a more detailed explanation of my duties would mirror the administrative processes of the Administratum, too long and overly detailed.
Cornelius tries to look you in the eye, but it is clearly hard for him to do.
How did you manage to find the forged documents in the bureaucratic hell that it is the Administratum?
When compiling reports on last cycle's supply chain, I noticed inaccuracies and discrepancies in the figures. With the help of the other clerks, I managed to find several other documents.
Cornelius stammers and swallows noisily.
Comprehensive data analysis has shown that the discrepancies were caused by intentional tampering with the data, thus leading to some logistical problems that were practically unsolvable. Father and I have managed to single out the administratum clerks responsible for tampering with the data. Following a heated interrogation, they confessed that they were following the orders of someone from House Verserian. Everything was supposed to look as though they were the ones suffering losses from the logistical and economic problems.
But does House Verserian have access to Adeptus Administratum? There is no conceivable way they could have do all this in a place where they hold no power.
Before replying, the governor's son nervously adjusts his expensive frock coat.
I think the right amount of money can open any door.
Cornelius, what's your true reason for being nervous?
The young man's pupils suddenly dilate. He stands at attention and replies to you in one breath.
This is the first time I have spoken face to face with the rogue trader. I am afraid of saying something wrong or forgetting something important.
The governor closely watches his son. His tone changes, now sounding strict and curt.
Do you wish to tell the Lord Captain anything else?
Place your hands over your weapon. You're speaking to a rogue trader, and my patience is running out.
You see the flash of terror in Cornelius's eyes as he stares at your hand on your weapon. He speaks quietly and confusedly, without raising his head.
Forgive me, your ladyship. I can't do it anymore. This lie has gone too far, and I can no longer control it. The truth is that all of the logistical problems were caused by a single error in the numbers. My mistake. What?
Urban looks genuinely shocked and enraged.
When I discovered my mistake, it was almost impossible to restore the supply lines. Then, I was approached by someone who said they were a friend. They did not give me their name and I never saw their face. They promised to fix the problem. All I had to do was pretend that the Verserians were responsible for the mistake. And as for the rest of the evidence, they promised to arrange it all. And.
Cornelius is suffocating with fear, unable to speak. Urban curls his hands into fists, the knuckles turning white.
What have you done? How could you, your ladyship?
He suddenly turns to you, as if trying to shield his son.
This is my fault. I trusted my son and have failed you in doing so. I beg you, have mercy.
Abelard shakes his head.
And you called my family's honor into question, Urbend. Nevertheless, I harbor no desire to kick a man when he is down. Lord Captain, the confession you have obtained means that House Verserian can now be cleared of all charges. But we still do not know who was behind the forgeries, the riots, the plot, and the assassination attempt. Someone is committing their foul deeds and sowing chaos right under your subjects' noses. To leave that stone unturned would be dangerous.
What is this friend that approached you, Cornelius? How did the two of you communicate?
By letter. I received a letter out of the blue one day. It was unsigned, but the person writing already knew about my erroneous calculations. They offered to help me cover up my misdeed, and in return, I would name the Verserians as the ones who had sabotaged the supply lines. All I had to do was gather together some documents and reports that were listed in one of the letters, and keep my mouth shut.
Urban, your son has found the courage to admit his mistake. I'll try to find some compassion for him in my heart.
Thank you, your ladyship.
The governor bows low, then gives his son a look full of bitterness and frustration.
And as for your position, I think you will be reassigned to a role requiring less responsibility.
I shall return to you later.
In this tapestry of a world,
Okay.
I am the rogue thread.
Let's talk to... Where is she? Aristocrat.
All these charges, there cannot possibly be any evidence to corroborate them. We are not involved in any plot.
As you draw closer, the wardens step aside, bowing respectfully, allowing you to approach the Verserian family. Clement,
Your ladyship,
the woman stammers, as if lost for words.
accept my most humble apologies for failing to greet you properly. And my thanks for agreeing to speak to me before making your final decision. The charges brought by the governor are severe, but, I can only assure you of this and swear on my own honor, we are not guilty of the crimes that House Verserian is being accused of.
Clementia.
A hint of sorrow creeps into Abelard's voice, belying his stern facade.
You were acting head of this family. You were supposed to take care of each and every family member. And now you are being accused of treason and collusion against the rogue traitor, and the entire family is facing death. How could you let this happen?
Are you truly guilty? Be honest. I will not tolerate lies.
Clementia, if you know that a member of your family is guilty of the crimes you are being accused of.
Abelard, it is your family too, you know.
The woman's words burn with defiance.
My apologies, I should not lose my composure. No member of House Verserian is involved in a conspiracy against her ladyship. Honor and loyalty are not something we take lightly, and we know whom we serve.
The governor claims you forged a document in the administratum.
The fleet is the primary remit of House Verserian, it is our responsibility. Logistics and supply routes are another area of our responsibility. We have no direct influence on the inner workings of the Adeptus Administratum. The first large-scale deliveries were cancelled after quantities of food were miscalculated by clerks in the Administratum. Then we were faced with incorrect weather data and a meager fuel budget. It was clear that the cause of all these problems was the calculations performed in the Administratum, in one way or another, but no matter how many times we asked, we could not ever obtain any clarification on the matter.
Found this letter on one of the bodies of the heretics who planned this attack. What can you tell me about it?
While Clementia reads the letter, the Verserians behind her read it over her shoulder.
Your ladyship, let us be frank. It would be foolish of me to try and orchestrate something like this, knowing how many wardens are patrolling your palace. I would not have let myself or anyone in my family get involved in such a scheme.
The attackers are high-functioning servitors, the ones that looked closer to ordinary humans. Do you know anything about them?
Servitors. Is that so?
Clementia crosses her arms and furrows her brow, deep in thought.
I have encountered servitors that were indistinguishable from normal augmented humans, but only once. They were accompanying several members of House Gaprook.
If you're not guilty, who is standing the most to gain from framing you?
Anyone, really.
Clementia replies with a bitter laugh.
The other houses consider us unworthy of our position, and many would jump at the chance to get rid of us and gain control over what once was our domain, the planet's fleet and logistics, at the very least.
Lady Theodora chose to grant noble status to House Verserian, but the other houses, which have served in the Expanse for millennia, did not welcome the decision. It has led to some difficulties.
I want to find out what's going on here. Who the real mastermind behind it is. Where should I start?
I am afraid I cannot be of much help. Talk to the representatives of other houses, eavesdrop on their retinue, and perhaps you will hear something unusual.
There will be no peace in my wake.
Before bowing, Sourback scrutinizes you with a bitter, judgmental look. Heretical Sourback, looking like a younger copy of his father, stands at a slight distance, close to his mother. An expensive yet understated dress serves to highlight the dazzling beauty of Meshurs's wife, Regina Sourback.
Your ladyship, I am delighted that you have chosen to grace us with your attention.
Regina drops into a curtsy while looking intently into your eyes.
Do you believe the Raisins are guilty?
Certainly.
Sourback replies without hesitation.
Governor Drivestem possesses proof of their guilt and they have no means by which to refute it. Even if I were to entertain the idea that the Worsrians are being framed, how much longer would their house have lasted anyway, if it is so ill-prepared for treachery?
He addresses Abelard with a slightly mocking tone.
My advice to House Verserian would be not to appeal to the rogue traitor for help, but instead to simply stop, accept their fate, and not make matters worse for themselves. I cannot remember Octavia the Fire Axe von Valancius seeking your advice on what House Verserian should do in this situation. Pay attention, mock Arius. Focus on the rogue traitor's questions.
The assailants sent to the palace were rare, high-functioning servitors. You think that Gap Rocks could be hanging behind the attack?
Sourback looks away briefly and replies to you with a curt laugh.
I have always thought Toriana too weak to participate in such risky ventures, but it seems I was wrong about her.
I discovered a dead body in my palace. A man of House Gaprock was killed while playing to the Emperor, and he had... Do you know anything about this?
Meshurus looks at the note without taking it from your hands, and replies without hesitation.
No, I know nothing about this note.
Who apart from Raisin had a motive to conspire against me?
House Drivestem, wishing to expand their clout. House Gapruk, who lost their influence after the Kiev Gamma incident.
Sourback looks back at his family, then turns to you again.
House Sourback, whose patriarch is too direct in his communication with the rogue traitor. Anyone could have a reason to conspire against you, and equally, they could have none. It is not a question of motive, but of loyalty. Each of your subjects has sworn an oath of loyalty to you, so whose sincerity do you doubt?
Oh, what lies beyond?
The Lord. Toriana Gaprak curtsies to you. Her mechanical voice sounds distant.
My family, Lady Toriana, is yet to be found guilty of anything. That verdict is for the rogue traitor to reach.
I discovered a dead body. A member of your house, right here in my palace, died kneeling in prayer.
Toriana covers her open mouth with her hand in surprise and, turning to her family, looks for someone among them.
Halen, it can't be.
Halen, was it? Tell me about him, Toriana.
Halen is one of the lower-ranking members of House Gapruk. Despite his advanced age, he never held high office, but he was forever striving to better his position, even beyond his abilities. Many members of my house struggled to cope with the misfortune that befell Kievagama and our family. Some members could not reconcile themselves to our new position. Halen was one of them.
What could have happened to him?
Toriana's visor oculus are fixed on the floor, her fingers restlessly clenching in the fabric of her dress.
Toriana, the time to keep silent is long gone. The future of the von Valancius trade dynasty and your house are both at stake now.
We lost Kievagama, a truly devastating blow to every member of House Gapruk. I lost all hope for the future, and my kin lost their sense of purpose. We needed time to recover and chart a new course for ourselves. We were and still are more than capable of doing that. But I will not deny it, the other houses have offered us their assistance, for their own self-serving ends. Perhaps Halen decided to take them up on one of their offers behind my back.
The seneschal bows ever so slightly and speaks quietly so that only you can hear him.
Lord Captain, the Gapruks, although perhaps only some of them, are definitely involved, but I suspect that they were not behind the plot against you. Holland Gapruk could be nothing more than a puppet in the hands of a deft puppet master. We must expose whoever that is if we are to prevent the pestilence of heresy from spreading any further.
What do you suggest we do?
Interrogate the heads of the Drivestem and Sourback houses. One of them has been pulling the strings here. Once we uncover new evidence, announce that the guilty party will be publicly executed. Before you pronounce the verdict, I suggest focusing on each house in your indictment speech, and I shall observe them. I have known those people far longer than you have. I know all their gestures, habits, and behavioral quirks. I am sure that I will be able to determine which of them was responsible for the riots based on their behavior.
The members of House Sauerback.
They will see. Oh yes, they all will see.
When you approach them, the conversations die down.
I found a
The
dead body
governor
in my
bows his head
palace.
in deference.
How may I serve you, your ladyship?
Do you know
Are
anything
you ready?
about that?
A member of House Gaprick was killed in the palace,
The governor's eyes bulge in surprise.
and no one noticed? But how? There are wardens posted at every altar.
There was no one near the deceased. The wardens had left their post. Did you order them to do so?
Emperor forbid, your ladyship.
The governor helplessly throws his hands up in the air as if to signify his powerlessness.
Your negligence is stunning, Urbend. An assassination attempt followed by a mysterious death, and yet, here you are, oblivious to everything. The rogue traitor can justly accuse you of allowing a noble to be killed in the palace and of failing even to notice it. It may be so, but it is for the rogue traitor to accuse me of negligence, not you.
The governor addresses you once more.
Your ladyship, accept my deepest apologies for my imprudence.
Did you
Nothing
see?
matters more to me than my honor. I shall send the servants to deal with all this immediately.
Did you see Mercurius Sourback today before I arrived?
Mock Arius? I did not see him myself, but perhaps.
The governor turns around and asks his family.
Have any of you seen him today?
The nobles talk quietly among themselves, and then a middle-aged woman with a tall, extravagant hairstyle replies to you.
I think my sister and I saw him sitting on the bench some distance away from the palace's entrance. We think he was accompanied by a gentleman, but, forgive us, your ladyship, we could not make out his face.
Lead me to that place.
Of course. Consider it done.
What curiosity unveils itself before me?
I were conversing.
I
Applaud
recognize
my
this bouquet.
brilliance.
House Sourback usually serves this wine.
Patience? My nerves are frayed.
The members of House Sauerback, led by Mish.
Okay. We are ready for next phase then, I guess.
When you approach them, the conversations die down. The governor bows his
Summon
head in
everyone.
deference.
I'm ready to pronounce
How
my
may I-
verdict.
Governor Drivestam tensely bows and replies without hesitation.
Understood, your ladyship. Allow me to prepare everything.
Many faces are watching you, each and every one awaiting the rogue trader's verdict with bated breath.
1. The charges brought by Governor Drivestam were fabricated. House Verserian had nothing to do with the orchestration of the riots or the plot targeting the rogue traitor. However, the real perpetrators are here in this very room.
The seneschal nods to you as if urging you to continue, then shifts his piercing gaze to the crowd before you.
1. Awareness 10 Urbent Drivestam, you have accused House Verserian of violations that were in truth the result of a grave error committed by your son.
The governor closes his eyes, fear and shame getting the better of him. Some faces in the crowd look confused and surprised, but you see more wearing expressions of self-satisfied contempt. Abelard looks from the governor to you and subtly shakes his head, as if to say, no, it is not Drivestam pulling the strings here.
1. Awareness 10 Toriana Gapruk, a member of your family orchestrated an assassination attempt against me, here, in my own palace. And though he has already been found dead, his act is reason enough to forever brand your house as traitors.
Mocking whispers creep through the crowd. Toriana is trembling faintly. She still does not raise her head, perhaps out of fear of meeting her fate face to face. The seneschal's hard gaze softens. An elusive gesture, visible only to you, conveys the message: Toriana Gapruk is guilty only of her own poor judgment.
1. Awareness 10 I know that House Sauerback offered their help to the Gapruks and the late Halen Gapruk seemed to have accepted the offer. I suspect that you are responsible for his death as well.
Sauerback furrows his brows and slightly cocks his head. He averts his gaze for the first time, as if trying to remember or make sense of something. You notice some restless movements behind him. Abelard narrows his eyes and scrutinizes Monsieur Sauerback and his retinue standing behind him. His sharp eyes light up when he catches sight of something important and hidden in the crowd. The seneschal looks at you and nods, as if to say, the puppeteer has given themselves away. Pronounce the verdict. The air in the room is frozen with a tense, almost electrified silence. All the nobles, some with fear and others with reverent anticipation, await your verdict.
Sauerback. Browns. Sauerback. How Sauerback is guilty. Seneschal. Can take it from here. Guilty, the head of your family, has never tried to hide his attitude towards me. That is more than enough to convince him. What? House Sauerback, the head of the family, has never tried to hide his attitude towards me. That is more than enough to convict him. Now, Seneschal, you take it from here.
Abelard steps forward and stares intently at House Sauerback's patriarch.
Mock Arius, I must admit I have always admired your bluntness. But just as I once had to say goodbye to a promotion because of my dislike for intrigue, you, and your family, might soon say goodbye to your heads. Tell me now in your blunt fashion, are you loyal to House von Valancius?
Sauerback narrows his eyes, grimacing.
I am loyal, Verserian.
Abelard studies Sauerback, then suddenly nods.
You are not lying. But someone else is, someone who is poised to destroy both you and your family for her own gain.
Monsieur does not have time to respond. Regina, who is standing beside him, raises her arm as if to slap the elderly seneschal. Abelard deftly catches her wrist, stopping her hand right in front of his face. Her dainty hand is adorned with a massive augmatic ring topped with a thin spike dripping with venom. Sauerback shifts his confused gaze from his wife to Abelard, then back again. The stiff arrogance has vanished from his posture.
Regina, you? Mother.
Upon realizing what has happened, Heretical recoils from his mother.
Mock Arius, your bluntness makes you an open book. When I talked about helping the Gaprux, you had no idea what I was referring to. Your wife, on the other hand, her eyes started shifting like you would not believe. Regina Sauerback, you alone betrayed the rogue traitor, jeopardizing the prosperity of the von Valancius trade dynasty. And you alone are responsible for your unmasking.
Who aided you? There's no way you managed to do this all on your own.
Oh, of course I didn't. I have too many helpers to list them all, but rest assured there are plenty of them, just as there are plenty of people who follow Master Voigt. My death will not change anything, the true rogue trader will come and take his rightful place when the time is right.
Why would you do this, Regina?
Like the spike on her ring, Regina's words are dripping with poison and rage.
Because Dargonus is serving an impostor. The true heir of the Protectorate bears a different name. When Kunrad appeared on Dargonus, he paid me a visit, and opened my eyes to the truth of the situation. Theodora was killed by the one whom she had so unwarily taken under her wing. Makarius is too narrow-minded to even consider opposing the rogue traitor, even an illegitimate one. So I had to wait for the right moment, and the disappearance of the Lord Captain could not have come at a better time. It was quite simple to trigger a chain of events on Dargonus so that the people remembered Master Voigt's past service. It seems that many of your subjects do not actually consider you a worthy successor.
Why the Verasians?
Because when stripped of the Seneschal's protection, this house is the weakest one on all of Dargonus. And they are also particularly disliked by the governor's family. It would have been easy to bury the Wersrians under accusations of heresy.
Why did you kill Helen Caprock?
Halen was a good agent, but he was also a coward. He came to me just before our formidable rogue trader arrived. He was ready to confess everything. I suggested that he plead for the Emperor's forgiveness first, and he did grant him mercy, did he not?
Abelard's sentence has yet to be carried out. Finish this.
Abelard turns his gaze to you.
Does the rogue traitor condemn only the rotten apple, or the entire barrel?
I will not exterminate the whole noble line that is loyal to me, just because a traitor.
In that case, Regina Sourback shall be subjected to intense interrogation followed by execution.
Okay. Dragoness and the Seneschal Abelard main quest is finished. Regina Sourback is sentenced to death for heresy against the rogue trader dynasty. Fuck, I'm tired today. I'm really tired today. I'm actually having a problem keeping my eyes open. Right.
When the nobles disperse, sated by the bloody performance, Abelard approaches you, his steps firm.
Lord Captain, you have my thanks. A rogue trader should not waste time on the matters that her servants and trustees can resolve, but in this case, your intervention was necessary. Not just for the sake of my family, but for your trade dynasty as well.
Regina Sourback. Evidently, Conrad's accomplices continue to plot against your protectorate. I fear we have not heard the last of such scoundrels.
Thanks to you, Lord Captain, House Verserian is saved, although it came close to being wiped out as a result of scheming without an imprudence within.
Abelard pauses for a moment, staring off into the distance.
Sometimes I think about how much I could teach them. I could ensure that they survive in the future, without me.
What are you going to do now?
I need time to reflect upon what happened and the role I played in it. I think I will be ready to resume this conversation later, when we are back on board the ship.
Abelard bows to you deferentially and turns away, lost in thought. A sturdy safe equipped with several bizarre mechanisms.
Anything new in here? I highly doubt it, but hey, worth a look. Not really, no.
Janris Danroke squares his shoulders as you approach and gives you a dazzling smile.
Your ladyship. Would you like to give the order to begin your enchanting meeting with Mistress Kybella?
Let us begin.
Fabulous. I shall see to all the arrangements. There will be a short wait, but I assure you, both you and your companion will find this evening unforgettable.
Is he going to have us go on a fucking date? Beg your pardon, your ladyship, everything in prepared.
Something has changed in Kybella. As she stands next to you, you take in her posture, her movements, her gestures. Every detail in her appearance is different in some way. She has chosen to forego the regalia of the blood-spun web on this occasion, and neither does she emanate an aura of frightening lethality. She casts an eye over the space prepared for you, then glances at the Master of Ceremonies. With a languid drawl, she says,
I must give credit to your subjects, Dom and Octavia the Fire Axe, their eagerness to satisfy your wishes is enough to melt one's heart.
The Master of Ceremonies adjusts his attire and gives you both a ridiculous smile, seemingly hypnotized by the sound of Kybella's voice.
Anything to please her ladyship and her lovely companion.
Look at Kybella.
You remember Kybella as she was at the first event organized by the High Factotum. Somehow, her former outlandishness has completely vanished, as if she had spent her whole life attending only the most lavish receptions and enjoying the high society of the upper decks. She even looks like she is actually enjoying all the attention.
Look at the people around you.
The servants and junior officers stand at attention. It seems that Kibella's newfound parlor confidence has made a strong impression on them. All eyes are on her, as though she were emitting some form of invisible yet deeply alluring glow.
Address the master of ceremonies. Leave us.
Kibella casts one more look at the man.
Thank you. You truly have gone above and beyond to impress your lady.
The master of ceremonies seems to have forgotten about your presence entirely as he gives your companion his undivided attention.
Why, Mistress Kybella, your praise is the greatest reward.
Clear your throat.
The greatest reward.
He finishes awkwardly. He glances at you with a more sober look in his eyes, bows quickly, and hurries off into the shadows. Kibella casts you a look.
Well, then, shall we?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
The noise of the hive reaches the balcony as nothing more than a steady hum, like the rumbling of a distant ocean. The beautiful decorations and fine delicacies before you could easily make one forget the rot and suffering that permeate the sprawling city below. Kibella's manners are impeccable. One can only wonder where this artful mastery of social customs came from. She glances at you as she lifts her glass.
Smile, it appears you managed to avoid terrifying my subject with your very presence this time.
I am a spinner of the blood-spun web. We know how to tread silently, how to be invisible, how to wear other people's masks. The guises of your subjects are not particularly subtle. Their courtly sheen, too, conceals the faces of predators and killers, does it not? I had little difficulty inventing such a mask for myself.
A nice evening, is it not?
I am absolutely delighted.
She sips her drink.
Last time, I failed to grasp the sheer beauty of moving in the highest circles, Damin Octavia the Fire Axe. I appreciate that you have arranged this evening for me, my second chance. I do hope that my demeanor suits the expectations of your inner circle better this time.
I believe it does. I only hope that you genuinely feel comfortable in this role.
Comfort was never something I aspired to earn, or was even taught. It has no bearing on my choice of thread.
Care to explain that scene back there?
I merely wanted to offer my gratitude to your subjects, Damin Octavia the Fire Axe. I had to express my appreciation for all this, at least.
She gestures at the decorations and the food.
Or should I be thanking you for doing all this with your own bare hands?
It looks as if you're being quittish? What the fuck is that?
2. It looked as if you were being coquettish with the master of ceremonies.
Coquettish. You're right, my servants have earned a great deal of praise.
She nods silently.
I was surprised when I heard you voiced a desire to make another appearance.
The better I understand the world you live in, Damin Octavia the Fire Axe, the better a shadow I can be for you. And the finer blade I can be in the hand of the undying one servant.
Kibella lowers her head and remains motionless for a few moments. When she looks at you again, her eyes are glassy, suggesting that all her thoughts are now turned inward. She resembles an empty shell, governed by a mere fraction of her mind, while the rest of it eludes your sight. You notice that her hand that is lying on the table is not completely still. Her finger, with subtle twitches, is tracing a familiar pattern.
Hush Cabella's hand, come back to me, please.
Kibella jerks her hand back, quickly and nervously.
What do you mean? I am here, with you. Where else could I be?
Several long minutes pass. In the suffocating silence, Kibella's aloofness becomes all the more disturbing. Finally, she takes a sip from her glass and says in a suave voice,
The hour is getting late. Could you please show me a view of the hive? I would like to see your domain.
A tangled network of streets and bridges, the main hive, spreads far below. The people buzzing about in lit areas seem no larger than gnats at this distance. Kibella stares past the balustrade with wide eyes, seemingly mesmerized by the view, by the great, beckoning fall. She leans forward, and then clutches the handrail so tightly her knuckles turn white, gasping in wonder.
Support Kibella's elbow without saying anything.
I've never.
Another stifled gasp. Then a laugh.
I have never seen such heights before in my life. No distance on the ship comes close to this. I feel like this emptiness might swallow me whole.
Kibella turns to you and smiles, this time sincerely.
It's beautiful.
She reaches out a hand to you and gently touches your cheek, her fingertips sliding down your skin.
With you, I feel different. Nothing like how the tenets say I must. There is so much more to life than my clan's deck.
Her gaze goes blank.
And discovering it has unraveled my world. I am your blade. I am your shield. And today, here and now, I vow to do whatever it takes to become the perfect weapon in your hands. Already, I am changing, Domin Octavia the Fire Axe.
She looks at you with burning eyes.
Tell me, does this Kybella please you?
I will accept you I will accept you regardless of whom you decide to be. No one can make that decision for you.
She lowers her head.
It is so strange to hear the Daman give me a choice, and yet I fear that such a choice might burden my soul too heavily in his eyes.
We're going full in. I love you.
Kibella looks at you closely. Instead of speaking, she clings to you and gives you a long, breathtaking kiss filled with sincere warmth. When eventually she pulls away, she gingerly touches your cheek with her fingers.
Stay with me tonight. We have the whole palace to ourselves.
Kibella pulls you to herself.
Let's go. I want to leave the stage overlooking a whole world. I want to be alone with you, to be true with you as never before.
And we wake up in the trap room.
Could watch you like this forever, swathed in the bliss of passion's wake.
That's creepy.
The bed for the head of a rogue trader dynasty is befitting the status of its owner.
To the ship will go. So, we have now finished off a few quests. We're now heading even further north for Henrik's von Kalox's quest. Also picking up that.
Reports are coming in from the Navigator's sanctum regarding the
Trust the
appearance of a
Navigator.
warp emergency aboard the void ship. A foul warp
Why is it every time I trust the Navigator we get a void breach? Or a demon breach? That is the most annoying one.
Let us rise up to that storm!
Let's go.
Running binaric override. My vow
Dun,
is
dun.
to serve.
A genius at work. Huh. What if...
Don't have anyone up there.
Schemes within schemes. Ah! Another one is shattered. Oh, a wicked thought. Let's see.
And then we scream at you. Wait, can we get... We can get both of them in the scream, yeah. Yep.
At your beck and call, grey hair, sure hand. I will do my duty.
A predictable downfall. They'll write legends about me. Through the smoke and gunfire. Oh, another one is shattered.
A feeling of terror grips your heart. A gust of otherworldly wind brings the smell of rot. Discharges of the motive force fill the air.
I know what I'm doing, usually.
Yeah, let's just
Tell
do
me,
that.
and it is done. Schemes. A predictable downfall.
Octavia killed everything. Everything.
Pain and duty go hand in hand.
Yeah. If we get that and we get a good starting rotation and Octavia is first, yeah, it's going to wreck. Because Octavia does not give a fuck. She will light everything on fire and then a bit more.
Having already studied the surface of the planet before, the augurs detect a suspicious zone with an unidentified object at its center. Having already studied the surface of the planet, the homunculus's prism that had been kept aboard the ship has activated again. Augurs detect another Druckery beacon, only this time the dark artifact from the homunculus's laboratory establishes connection with it as soon as the ship enters orbit.
Send the
The
scout
prism shows
to
the
the
next
beacon.
set of coordinates, but the beacon on the planet's surface continues emitting its sinister signal. This time around, the scene the scouts face is no less loathsome than the last. Hundreds of those who were undoubtedly at some point humans are lined up in a chain of bizarre geometric shapes. Their bodies, fused with each other at the hands and the feet, swing steadily, unable
Bring
to
the
fall.
beacon to the ship.
The removal of the beacon from its platform leads to a grotesque spectacle. As if the beacon had sent a signal, unseen devices within the mutants activate sequentially, burning out each mutant's innards with a scarlet glow. One after the other, continuing down the chain, the poor souls' bodies slowly smolder and turn to ash.
Okay. Via boss. Okay. Let's do this. And Kiva Gamma, what do we have left here? Yeah, we have the rep grind left here. So guess we do that. And here we have let's make it.
The clan servicing the Void Shield arrays petitioned the Lord Captain for aid. Compartments were becoming overrun with putrescent fungal corruption. The mycelium claimed one chamber after another. The thick black...
We need to actually visit the boss. Now...
As the colony's nobility amasses their wealth and makes new connections, they are showing less and less respect for the rogue trader.
Spare the brazen aristocrats. Send loyal servants to the colony to make nobles fall in line. Severely punish the arrogant nobles. Yes.
The insolence of the colonists has been dealt with. Due to the ironclad discipline within the colony, the harsh punishments did not affect its productivity.
Okay, and now we're heading towards the last system up here that I know of. Yeah, we can spend a bit there. I don't really care honestly at this point.
Lord Cap'n, we have arrived in Fthon 4's system. Our translation from the warp was a little rough, a net loss of about 500 souls on the middle and service decks, and God Emperor only knows how many wounded. But that's only the half of it. The brain boxes on the augers are sending me reports that aren't doing my mood any favors. Real space here's got more holes than a sieve, and all our sensors are playing up. It's got to be sorcery, Lord Cap'n. If I was you, Lord Cap'n, I'd do what I came here to do, right sharpish and clear out. While we still can. I've seen the likes of this before in this same region. Maybe your sorcerers will be able to explain it better, but here's what I know, shit like this never ends well. The surface of the star shimmers with a myriad of hues. The dance of colors fascinates any who dare glance at it. The playful colored patterns appear on the vessel's augers in a wide variety of spectra, from infrared to ultraviolet. Every voidsman knows that such emissions are dangerous to organic matter, and Master Helmsman Raver asks the crew to resist the desire to admire the star. Not everyone manages to follow this advice, and some crew members suffer from nausea and headaches.
Leave the bridge.
Heinrich van Kalarx spends as little time as possible in any area exposed to the star. Not knowing what exactly it is, the interrogator considers this light an unholy entity and advises everyone to stay away from it.
Okay. Scan it. Prometheum. Yes. Scan it. Nothing. Ship is repaired. We're ready to deal with the ships. Okay.
This inky abyss will witness our victory!
No. We're aiming this way. And we're aiming to
The destination is no.
There.
Drown them in the void. Engage the lance.
That's bullshit. Melta torpedoes. We are going to send them straight in.
Steady hand activation. Cooldowns decreased by 1.
Let the macro cannon sing their twisted song. Unleash the fury.
Steady hand activation. Cooldowns decreased by 1.
Macro cannon barrage. Set course. Engage the lance.
Okay. And turn. Oh fuck.
Void Master, if you please.
Yeah. Okay.
Engage
Let's just start
the
unleashing.
macro cannons. Lance! Set course. Let the macro cannons sing their twisted
Yes.
song.
Did I hit it?
The lance.
A few hits on it. We're sending the torpedoes this way.
Torpedo launch.
And you go for the other side, of course you do. And goodbye, my dear friend. Goodbye.
Madness conquers the void.
Upgrade. Hardship got some upgrades. Hardship got some upgrades. Okay. So we got our abilities. Shield pulls, vulnerability. Cause an enemy ship to immediately turn. That's interesting. August can favorable tactical. When flag evasion is increased. Okay, yeah. And we'll go for that one. Okay, great. Really? Okay, and now... Oh, we have level up. Fuck it. Let's go. Maximum hit chance is 95. It's all... What do we have here then? What do we have? Comprehensive analysis. Opposite inflict even enemies, which are... Opposite inflicts an exploit even on enemies. Okay, no. Inscribed soul. While the Psyker is not in the target's line of sight. The Psyker is in cover. All resistance. Target suffers to minus 20 resistance. The Psyche gain... It could go burning. I don't really want to go burning. Psyche uses psychic power. All enemies adjacent to the Psyche suffer. Same have. Okay, yeah. What do we have here? Yeah, no, we're taking... Yeah, we're taking 5 scars. Floor of the Imperium, Warp Lore. Everlord! What do we have for you? Yeah, sure. Gross. Jay, what do we have for you? We have focus whenever the officer uses an ability on an ally. Iron discipline, lead by example. Take aim. Steel resolve. Steel resolve. Imperium lore. You know what? Logic. Logic. Enough bullets for everyone. Yeah. And athletic. Flick despair, combat inside. With operatives, perspective bonus this time. Game on and ignore armor. A target. Yeah, sure. Logic, and that is maxed out. Let's go with awareness then. Kellogg's. Why do I want to call you Kellogg? I like the cereal. Whenever an enemy attacks the warrior, the warrior against deal additional damage. If the warrior has not attacked this turn, they gain 22 armor. And medicine, I guess.
One step at a time.
When I was a child, I was once initiated into some of the mysteries of Tech Ministry. I still have questions that you might be able to answer, Magos.
The imparting of knowledge to laity who lack the proper initiation is an unfortunate necessity, not a sign of trust. I am not at liberty.
The vanquished combat machine obviously fell from a height. Too much time has passed now to determine the cause of the crash. The spikes have been fashioned from whatever their creators had to hand. This pitiful barricade is unlikely to stop anyone who is determined to get through.
In my veins.
The sentry rubs her eyes and gawps at you. One half of her face is covered with a bulky, rusty augment of unknown purpose.
You came to rescue us. Praise the God Emperor, it reached you. The sorcerer's message reached others like him, may he rest in peace. We are most honored by your presence. Please, come forward, quickly, out of the darkness.
The woman hurriedly checks a nearby lumen, her hands visibly shaking.
Those creatures come from the dark, you see, but not for much longer, not for much longer. And now you're here, and Mistress Lichtenhart has already found a way to help us.
Heinrich dully listens to the sentry's speech. He takes a few steps forward and intently peers at her face as the woman herself freezes in fear. Then Heinrich scowls and cuts a glance at you.
We need to hurry.
Examine the sentry's face.
The woman lurches backward under your scrutiny. Her eyes are red and swollen, and there are dark circles under them, suggesting a long run of sleepless nights.
It seems we have already found who we're looking for. Serve the barricades. These do not appear to be very sturdy.
Please, my lady.
The sentry is on the verge of tears.
Do you think we are trained guardsmen? We're from the expedition convoy, we've lived here for generations and, up to now, the God Emperor has guarded us from misfortune. But now we have to fight. The survivors have all gathered in the tunnel, we've handed out what weapons we have, but how is that supposed to help us against these butchers when we don't always know how to use our weapons?
What happened on this planet?
It's terrible, my lady. I don't even know how to describe it. It's been, how long has it been? A few months, probably, a few months of being plagued by these sorceress beasts. As soon as night fell, they came, creeping right out of the shadows, black as soot, there's no stopping them. The only thing that's worked so far is keeping the fires burning and maintaining a constant watch, and even with that, the creatures drag us off in ones and twos the second we drop our guard.
Heinrich furrows his brow.
Sorceress creatures from the shadows. Could they be demons? That would explain the presence of warp anomalies in the system. A local breach.
Well, I know of other creatures from the shadows, Master Van Calix. And so do you, for the Exalted One has granted you extensive knowledge of Xenos and everything related to them. This poor soul's description sounded to me like the mandrakes that lurk in the webway. I don't know why you didn't come to the same conclusion yourself.
What a stroke of luck, it seems we already found who we're looking for.
You mean Mistress Lichtenhart, my lady? We wouldn't have survived without her. It just so happened that she was here, at a local excavation, when the monsters started appearing. We've been losing contact with the other sites on the planet since then, like candles being snuffed out one after another. The rest of them must have all perished. But we're still here, holding on.
You mentioned an expedition.
It's terrible, my lady. Yes. About 30 years back, we were brought here with a load of clever people from some high-up adeptus of something or other. And we've lived here ever since. I've raised 4 kids here. 2 died at the excavations, 1 was taken by the monsters, but my youngest is still alive. What a life.
Jay chuckles grimly.
Dragged to a planet in the middle of nowhere. Dumped on a worthless excavation site that everyone else probably forgot about a long time ago. 3 out of 4 children are dead.
It is called doing your duty, Mistress Hatery. You may not be familiar with the concept, but for most of the Imperium subjects, it is the honorable mundanity. Excavations? Perhaps the expedition, or rather, its objectives, were what Emelina was interested in. Of course, the easiest option would be to ask her directly.
The interrogator shoots you a pointed, impatient look.
I wish to see Emelina Lichtenhart.
Mistress Lichtenhart is inside, in the pit. You go on. Don't be afraid. She will be there to properly greet you. We'll stand guard, Thanks be to the Emperor for delivering you to
In
us.
this tapestry of a world, I am the rogue thread.
Unlocked.
Operation successful.
A giant gate barring the way to the excavation site.
Chill. Where is it from? Yeah, they're actually trying their best, huh?
What
Taking
a
out a few.
curious specimen.
Pascal, Mandrake. Mandrake, Edgerton. Bigger. Fuck.
The scriptural prognosis is favorable. Running binary combat is an equation. Your life is a negligible variable. Request denied. Request approved.
Moving out! Done!
I'll do what it takes. What a rush!
The air is filled with a putrid smell.
Thought we were good? Rejoice in battle! As the Emperor commands, I act. Doubt is for the weak. Faith without deeds is worthless.
No, I'm not burning everyone just
I'll do it.
because. Lighting most of them on fire seems like a good idea anyway.
As the Emperor commands, I act. Don't touch me!
High momentum.
I've seen worse battles than this in my time.
Really need to get you a weapon, huh?
Victory is imminent. It will be done. Reduced to dust.
Ha! Heretics be damned!
Shields me!
This way!
Oh, my ears are ringing.
I feel the power.
None can escape the Emperor's judgment.
Let's see to it. I need a foothold. But of course, Lord Captain.
Okay.
Don't get too cocky.
Let's see. Another stroke of genius. What if...
I
Never cross a Kazbalikan.
Shadows are reversed for a moment.
that is a lot of resources. And all of them are going to cargo. That's for sure. And all of you are also going to cargo.
What lies beyond?
Abelard is okay. He was the only one actually taking any kind of damage during that fight. The scary part is, like, Octavia is still like a finisher, character that actually clears.
Experience? Nothing matters more.
Damn it! It's a Vox liturgy twisted by warp sorcery. Try not to listen too closely.
This altar would be unremarkable if not for the uncanny sounds streaming from its built-in speakers. What once was a Vox recording of a liturgical service is now a malevolent parody of the noble faith.
Whenever the wearer is targeted by an attack of opportunity, they gain 1 stack. 14 dodge against attack, movement speed. Okay, an interesting one. Taunting Scream does not need to fail the willpower test. Okay.
Strange debris is scattered across the table's surface. All of it, the broken pieces of pottery, the inscribed tablets, the blades with fanciful designs, is clearly the work of primitive craftspeople. The powerful smell of promethium lingers in the air around the burning mechanism. The machines were doused with the accelerant and set alight.
Advanced medkit. Okay. Okay, where do we have her then? She's over here. God Emperor.
The stooped figure draws back the hood of the grimy robe, revealing the emaciated face of a woman. Her skin is stretched taut over her skull and sickeningly protruding augmentations, and her cheek is marred with several open wounds. She looks at you with a feverish gleam in her eyes.
The visual description matches Interrogator Van Calix.
The sage blinks several times and her head twitches.
You made it here after all.
Heinrich's usual mask of stoicism has melted away without a trace. He stares around him in undisguised dismay.
Emelina? What is this? You're performing the archenemy's rituals? But, no, stop. Right now. Not another move unless I tell you.
The sage draws herself upright, as far as her crooked spine will allow, and flicks several switches on her facial augments. Then she turns to you, ignoring Heinrich's words completely.
Who have you brought with you, Interrogator Van Calix? Clearance level.
Octavia the Fire Axe von Valencia's rogue trader of the God Emperor Anointed.
Emelina Lichtenhart dips her head.
Von Valencius. A rogue trader dynasty. Territory to the galactic west of Furibundus. The head of the dynasty, Theodora von Valencius, has been flagged for her heretical sentiments. Threat level.
Heinrichs gestures at the room.
I brought the help you requested in your message, Emelina, a void ship under the aegis of the rogue trader. I dragged thousands of people and megatons of plasteel and ceramite through the bowels of the warp. And for what? To discover that you have sold yourself to the archenemy?
Emelina shakes her head.
You are drawing conclusions based on incomplete knowledge of the situation, Interrogator Van Calix. Your judgment is impaired.
Henrix, why is Emily addressing you in this strange manner? What has happened on Fonton or...
I came here on the supreme directive of the Lord Inquisitor. An Adeptus Historica mission was established on Tin4 to study the origins of the civilization that once inhabited the planet. This world was once settled by humans. The mission aimed to discover which colony ship they came from and why they disappeared. The traces of the ancient culture uncovered in the layers of soil suggested the existence of primitive solar faiths among the dark inhabitants of this world. Faiths that are strikingly similar to worship of the archenemy. The surviving scrolls indicate that shamans used the gifts of chaos to protect their people, to secure the harvest, to imbue their warriors with strength and vitality, and that this culture persisted for thousands of years. I was cataloging data when the attacks began at one of the remote outposts. I immediately recognized the enemy by their tactics, druggery. They chose an unremarkable, defenseless world where night lasts half the year. By the time 5 outposts had been swallowed by the darkness, the last astropath had been torn to pieces, and many calls for help sent to Calcazar's unit had gone unanswered. I realized that no one was going to save these people. Or this knowledge. And so I put the knowledge to use, for the good of humanity.
Henrix, make sense of this to me. Am I going mad, or is your colleague engaging in flagrant heresy here?
Emelina is operating under the assumption that any and all methods are acceptable in the war against the enemies of humanity. Her reasoning is not infallible, however, it does contain a grain of truth. If I am to form an assessment of your actions, I must know the purpose of the ritual we interrupted when we arrived. Answer me.
Emelina lifts her gaze upward.
It will rid this world of its half-year-long night and the mandrakes of their total advantage over us. It will force a new heavenly body, this one of human making, to rise above the horizon and illuminate the dark side of the planet. If the ritual works, I will have mastered the secret of forging a new sun.
This is madness. Madness, pride, and monstrous, staggering heresy.
Heinrich's voice is barely audible, as if his throat has closed up in shock. Abelard's eyes widen in astonishment.
Create a star? God Emperor's grace, what creatures could live in the light a star born using the powers of the archenemy?
Chapel with a demented voxcast? What's going on there?
Emelina bores her head.
A side experiment. A way for exhausted and frightened people to find comfort in a higher power. However, I had the services stopped. Several people succumbed to the pernicious influence of the atmosphere and went insane, but the people blamed it on the voices from the Vox.
Henrix, why is Emily addressing you in a strange manner?
I expect that Emelina has chosen to seal the memory block containing data of a personal nature. She does this whenever she is concerned that someone might try to extract information about Calcazar's coterie from her.
Heinrichs thinks for a moment, and then in a clear voice says,
Sigma Prosperity.
He pauses before repeating the strange phrase.
The reminiscence block you are attempting to access was repurposed. It now contains knowledge of the rituals performed by the shamans of this place. My standard working memory alone was insufficient to record all the nuances I uncovered in my research here.
Heinrichs looks as though he has been punched in the gut.
Emelina, you deleted the data about all the members of Calcazar's unit? You wiped us all?
Of course not. I retained the portion of the reminiscence block's data relating to the operational significance of the Lord Inquisitor's unit. That is how I was able to recognize you, Interrogator Van Calix.
Jay looks at Emelina, then at Heinrichs, then back at Emelina again. She opens and closes her mouth a few times, but the only thing she manages to say in a stifled voice is,
I'm sorry, Shireen.
What happened to the people of this world?
All of the survivors are here in this tunnel. The rest are dead. Or worse than dead, they are in the clutches of the monsters from Kumarak. Our last astropath died when his mind was invaded by a warp entity, it used his trail to hunt him down. The rest of the people here have been blessed with the protection of those forces that I summoned to our aid.
I've heard enough. Do you mean to say that you discovered a ritual for creating a sun here?
Buried under silica and granite are knowledge and resources that could repel the enemies of humanity. We are too afraid of anything labeled prohibited. My memory contains thousands upon thousands of pages from manuscripts, tomes, and scrolls. Contact with any one of these is supposed to guarantee instant death. But the preachers who claim this are liars. I am living proof of their falsehoods.
That is enough.
Heinrich's voice shakes with bridled fury.
I have heard all the justifications and complaints 100 times before. No purpose can justify what you have wrought here. Who you have become.
Who I have become, Interrogator Van Calix. I am what any agent of the Golden Throne is predestined to become if they are able to see through to the essence of things. I have, as the Puritans say, succumbed to the heresy of radicalization. Moreover, in doing so, I am only following in the footsteps of our mentor. The only difference is that I have chosen the path of the ablationists, while he chose the Xenos Hybris, forging an alliance with the cursed druggery. What unthinkable accusations! The Lord Inquisitor, in league with the enemies of humanity.
Emelina, suppress your urge to debate internal matters in the presence of the rogue traitor. Additionally, I will not tolerate insults to the Lord Inquisitor in my presence.
No, you've already started. You may as well continue the conversation.
Why? It's just philosophical rhetoric referring to old men with a weakness for demagogue.
Actions are being driven by this philosophy, Interrogator Van Calix. Mine. Yours. The Lord Inquisitors. Why are you avoiding talking about the fact that Xavier Calcazar is a dangerous radical? No less dangerous than I am, except I am not driven by utopian ideals, but by a desire to protect humanity, using a broader range of tools.
What you call a broader range of tools is heresy, Emelina. Unremarkable, commonplace heresy. Heresy that has taken on a twisted form in a mind subjected to prolonged contact with corruption. The archenemy has been gnawing at you from within. Creating a star with a chaos ritual? You have crossed the line. No, you have obliterated the line.
The line? Lines are for the weak and ignorant. Anyone capable of weighing the risks and making a calculated decision would have done the same as me. To protect the Imperium's domain. To deliver a preemptive strike, even, Von Valancius.
Emelina whips around to you.
You are a simple mortal endowed with huge power and privilege, ruling over worlds and holding millions of lives in the palm of your hand. Tell me, would you have done the same in my position?
Yes, fear and cowardice are the worst enemies of the Imperium's defenders.
After everything you've endured, after everything you've witnessed, you're agreeing with her?
Heinrich falls silent and looks at Emelina.
It doesn't matter. I won't allow this sorcery to happen. Your operational reminiscence block clearly has some gaps in its data.
Emelina shakes her head spitefully, her eyes filling with blood.
The only one to answer my call, and you turn out to be a brainwashed pawn. I did not factor in the possibility of psychological dependence. Calcazar can be persuasive, especially to those who depend on him. A favored sorcerer, a Casbolican renegade, oh yes, Interrogator Van Calix, Xavier Calcazar's stalwart little soldier, you will die just like Tanakia.
Emelina Iona Lichtenhart.
Heinrich begins, stiffly formal, before breaking off.
Tanakia? What do you know about Tanakia?
Emelina shakes her head.
You don't even know what fate befell her, do you? I suppose it won't hurt for you to know something of it.
A strange sound causes the sage to fall silent. She turns toward the tunnel.
Beast, the ritual must be completely prepared. Need to block all the poses. Dispel the shadows.
Let's see how to dismember you properly.
Let's go. Okay. Mandrake. What's here? Agatha. Start battle.
Activate calculated fury algorithm. My vow is to serve.
It's nothing. Follow my lead.
Follow my lead.
I'll do it. That is not the Emperor's will. As the Emperor commands, I act. Faith without deeds is worthless.
Weapon at the ready. For the glory of my faith.
Okay, let's start lighting up the way then.
Insects begin crawling under your skin.
Let's see. A genius at work.
You can see him from there, right? Yep.
Schemes within schemes within schemes. Fate claims. Another one. Another one is shattered.
Tried and tested tactics are the best ones. Indeed. For von Valancius!
I must not falter.
Start with
I
that.
can do that with the right incentive.
You go over here.
Is my muse.
Then we give you
You've
an
got a
extra
problem?
turn.
I've got a prize.
And we light you on fire.
Let's see. Fate claims. Another one.
Pop that.
Don't get too caught. Jai Hidari. Remember the name. How about no?
Oh, that one has lower range. Okay, fair enough.
Tell me, and it is done.
Naturally. Nothing stands against me.
High momentum.
Okay, so it actually light. I need to have a unit on pretty much every single one of them. Okay.
Heavy is the tread of his faithful. Running by narrative, desire condemns you.
Weather the storm.
Break them around.
Guide guided by faith.
Okay. You're going to stand here and click that.
Stay vigilant. Follow my lead.
A maelstrom of madness!
A gust of otherworldly wind brings the smell of rot. Ice crystals appear in the air.
A tactically sound approach.
Okay.
Am I getting paid for this?
Oh, a genius at work! Too bad I'm still standing.
You've got a problem, I've got a price.
Everyone, step aside.
Don't get too cocky.
The Emperor is on our side.
Another one is shattered.
That's one long charge, that was fun.
Emelina lets out an agonized moan.
Wasted. All my work, all my preparation, all for nothing.
Emelina Iona Lichtenhart. In the name of the Inquisition, you are hereby removed from your post and expelled from the Holy Ordo.
Heinrich's eyes are fixed on Emelina, but she does not look at him. Then the interrogator turns his gaze on you.
The fate of its fallen members is a matter for the Ordo. Heretical archives, artifacts obtained in the excavation and other assets in Lichtenhart's possession I hereby declare the property of the Holy Inquisition. However, it is for the rogue trader to decide what becomes of Tenfor and its people. What is your verdict?
What would you advise me to do, Henrix?
You know my answer. The world has been compromised, its inhabitants touched by corruption. However, I doubt you will take the advice that follows from my assessment.
Heinrich smirks crookedly.
At the very least, I will rid you of the temptation to take a peek at the archives that broke Emelina's will.
I will not risk taking survivors into my crew, however I will not leave them unaided. You will be given supplies to support their defense against the Drukhari.
So be it, Lord Captain. Now as for Emelina. You are hereby stripped of your special status as an agent of the Golden Throne and all attendant rights and privileges. I am authorized to use all interrogation measures stipulated in the standard framework for information extraction to ascertain the fate of Acolyte Tanakia Calbagaria. Will that be necessary, Emelina?
No, Interrogator Van Calix.
The sage's voice is scarcely louder than a whisper.
I have no intention of concealing that information from you. I am almost certain that Tanakia Calbagaria was eliminated on the orders of Xavier Calcazar after being deemed a volatile element.
Heinrich's face is a mask of disbelief and anger.
You are lying.
I have a rather unpleasant suspicion that witnesses on this conversation are not at the risk of being eliminated on a later date. Listen in silence.
I saw one of Calcazar's documents when I went to receive my new orders. Only a fleeting glimpse, but, with my memory like a picked recorder, it was long enough for its contents to be imprinted on my mind. I do not know the details, but the document itself was an interrogation transcript, with a final annotation indicating the removal of the person from the retinue. And we both know how someone leaves the Lord Inquisitor's retinue, Interrogator Van Calix.
Tanakia is the Lord Inquisitor's top espionage specialist. Wherever Xavier chose to refrain from making a public show of strength, Calbagaria was invaluable. Why would he do this?
Emelina looks up at Heinrichs, her eyes full of despair.
I do not know, Interrogator Van Calix. Just as I do not know why the Lord Inquisitor sent me to this nondescript planet as soon as I voiced my concerns about his methods. Just as I do not know if I should blame the warp for the lack of responses to my calls for help, or if Kalkazar prohibited the others from answering. The nature of her mission, and of Xavier's true purpose here in the Expanse, was likely why he chose to bury the secret, and Tanakia along with it.
Emelina breaks off.
The operational data indicates that you are the retinue's primary torture specialist, Interrogator Van Calix. All this time, I thought you were the one who conducted Tanakia's interrogation. And one of the reasons why I destroyed my personal data block was to ensure that my own sentiments would not prevent me from thinking rationally when I next encountered you or Kalkazar's other servants.
Henrix?
Heinrich says nothing for several seconds, staring into space. At last, he begins to speak.
Emelina Iona Lichtenhart. Your knowledge is of particular interest to the Inquisition. Before your fate is decided, I will carry out the necessary procedures to extract the information from you. You can assist by providing access to your reminiscence blocks, however, unsealing the inaccessible block will require greater force.
First she corrupts her mind with this knowledge, and now you're planning to do the same?
Studying the Forbidden is part of my work. I will show greater caution than Emelina did, or else I will suffer the same fate. We are finished here. The planet will be designated unfit for further use, the risks are simply too great. It will take a few hours to deal with the excavation site and what the diggers found there, but it will not delay us. When we return to the ship, find a minute to speak with me.
Patience.
Maybe we should have just...
My nerves are frayed.
No, we can't loot these extra mandrakes. Okay.
A conveyor belt littered with a mixture of stone chippings and fragments of human-made items. The rust on the mechanical components indicates that this machine has stood idle for a very long time. Primitive excavating equipment suitable for use by unskilled workers.
Sings in my veins.
The well goes so deep you cannot see the bottom. The walls of the shaft reveal the marks of the machinery that drilled through the rock, as well as fragments of an ancient sunken city.
Hey.
The powerful smell of promethium lingers in the air around the burning mechanism. The machines were doused with the accelerant and set alight.
They will see. Oh, yes, they all will see.
Okay, I guess we're leaving then. I was hoping to actually find some more stuff, but I don't know why I expected more stuff, honestly. Oh, fuck. We have done both Dragonus, Abelard, last act event. We have done Hendrix. I don't know if Hendrix has more parts to it. I'm blatantly honest with you. I don't know. So, yeah. We are cutting it short because I'm literally falling asleep right now. Yeah. Everyone's ready to level up. How are we? We've got a bit of cargo. A lot of void ship things. That's for sure. Okay. We are literally just going to save it here. And that's going to be it for me today. I want to wish you everyone a good night because, yeah, I'm probably going to bed. I'm just going straight to bed. So, yeah, if you enjoyed it, thank you very much. It's a bit slower than usual. It's just been conversations, but it's the main story we're going through, and we're slowly but surely getting to the point where we are majorly just doing major things pretty much. Anyway, good night everyone.